We are very excited. We have Amit Kshatriya. He became NASA's Associate Administrator earlier this month. Now, he is the highest ranking civil servant at the agency and also serves as a senior advisor to acting NASA Administrator Sean Duffy. Amit, welcome to Ohio for Washington. We're so glad that you could talk to us a little bit about it. How's your trip to the state been so far?
Thank you, Meredith. It's great to be here. It's always great to be in Ohio. As you can see, I'm actually was here the last few days. I'm headed back to Texas. But the visit here has been fantastic this week. And every time I come here, I come up to NASA Glenn as much as I can because of all the incredible work the agency is doing here. But also, there's so many incredible businesses in the Ohio, especially in Northeast Ohio, but really all over. The state that are providing so much incredible support to the program that I end up being here all the time, and I always love being here.
Well, that's awesome. So for those who might not be familiar with how leadership runs at NASA headquarters, can you tell us a little bit about your role on the leadership team?
Sure. So Secretary Duffy just named me permanently as the Associate Administrator for NASA. We've had some changes in the agency since the administration changed. But right now, typically, so Mr. Duffy is the leader of the agency. He's here on an interim basis. He's doing an incredible job. Right now, there's no deputy administrator. Typically, there'll be the number 2 official in the agency, and then my role as the associate administrator is to be the senior career official, to manage the civil servant workforce, to be the secretary's top civilian advisor, as well as the agency's chief operating officer.
Well, we really appreciate that explanation. And you were just mentioning just how much you enjoy being here in Ohio. You travel frequently to Ohio. So what has really sparked your interest most learning about all the innovation that's happening right here in the Buckeye State?
Well, I'm here because, again, we are flying missions every day. NASA's flying. That's what we do at NASA. We fly robots, we fly aircraft, we fly space stations, we fly quadcopters, and we fly all over on all the planets of the solar system. We fly things. And Ohio is the heart of flight. That's the first in flight, and so it's always it's baked into the culture, But what sparks my interest here, is first, operational. We have so many active missions that are going on. Ohio is the European Service Module, which is managed here at the Glenn Research Center, is going to be pushing our astronauts around the moon here, and early next year. It's going to be the most incredible mission. A lot of folks will not have remembered the last time we have flown people around the moon, and it'll be the first time in more than 50 years that we will send people from Earth around the moon, and to be able to witness that incredible dance of the moon and the planets, and all of that, how that will inspire the world. And so I'm here for a lot of operational reasons, but I also am here this week in particular to visit with the incredible leader down here, Jimmy Kenyon, the head of the Glenn Research Center. But he and the local communities have established the incredible Ohio Space Forum, which brings together businesses and academia and innovators from all over the world, really, to come to Ohio to understand how they can participate in all the great activities here. So it's a combination of operational activity, but also making sure that we're looking towards the future and doing everything that NASA does to make sure that these incredible flying machines that we build are not only helping us explore, but helping us discover new things about the solar system and our planet, and as well as inspiring the next generation.
I think the Ohio pride, we are happy to say that we have 2 out of 10 of NASA's centers right here across the states.
That's right.
Why Ohio? What makes this state different? I think a lot of people think about Florida for Cape Canaveral with the launches, or you think of Vandenberg Space Force Base in California for those launches. But here we are in Ohio, and this is getting more and more in the news of things that we're doing that are helping us along with this current space race.
Well, it's, when NASA was originally founded, it was founded around the mission. It was founded around the mission to make sure that we led the way in space and in the air and space. And we built facilities all across the country to make sure that we took advantage of the local capabilities and all of the industry that was there to make sure we were maximizing our possibility for success. And so this Glenn Research Center was chosen for that reason. It's been a hub for flight research even before the agency was founded. But since then, they've been an incredible central focus of excellence for us in propulsion technologies, as well as in communication technologies and in power, as well as in leadership. And we've had the leadership of the amazing men and women that have been a part of the agency. They've been so many Ohioans. Of course, everybody knows that the Wright brothers were the first in flight, and John Glenn was the first around the Earth, and the first American around the Earth, and Neil Armstrong was the first human to set foot around the moon, and all of that goes through Ohio. So the tradition is the legacy in my mind is the same as all the incredible NASA centers that we have that have taken advantage of all the regional capability, but but also the historical, the basis of all the research and innovation that's been going on.
And I know you also mentioned the small towns, the communities that, may
Yeah,
not be the biggest city on the map, but there are, some of these smaller companies that are making steel or that are making these different parts to send to
that's
NASA
right.
that you are using for these spacecraft and these satellites. And, it's something you don't think about every day, but that's happening right here and even right here in Central Ohio.
Oh, absolutely. Ohio's if you look at the history of America, Ohio has been the workhorse, the innovation, the industrial hub. So much has happened here. So much gets built here. Ohioans build things, and that's what we do too at NASA. That's what we want to do. We want to build things, and building things isn't just letting out big contracts to big companies or having NASA folks build things in labs. It is making sure that we're connecting the people to their investment. One of our biggest jobs is to make sure that the people's treasure is invested the right way, and that we're managing and making sure that we're providing that return. And that return comes through the investments we're making in the programs and how those programs flow that work down to small businesses across the country. And every dollar that we spend on our programs returns easily as much as 3 times as many dollars in terms of economic output. And that is very, very important to us because this is the people's treasure. And if they don't see the results of that, if they don't see good, excellent jobs, if they don't see their kids being inspired to do amazing things, if they don't feel that sense of national pride that it comes from having an incredible agency that's supposed to look up towards the future, then we're not doing the right thing. We need to make sure we're investing those things the right way. And a part of my previous role to this assignment was to be the head of the Artemis program. And in that role, as you can imagine, that was fairly busy too. We have a lot of different folks building a lot of different things, but I like to go, and I encourage all of my leadership to go. And when they're leading teams, they need to go and see where the work is being done. And the work is being done all over, and lots of the work is being done in small towns, small communities with incredible local business owners, incredible community colleges, and educators that are making sure we have the workforce of the future, but also taking advantage of the fact that we like to use our hands and build things in America, and that's what we do all over.
What efforts are you making to help with that workforce, say specifically here in Ohio? Is it having these internships available? Is it,
Yeah.
finding ways to secure more funding to get these generations prepared to be our future workforce?
It's all of those things. I was just talking to folks just at Ohio State yesterday, and they were one of the professors there had started a welding engineering program. And you might think, well, when NASA people, we just build rockets and we build spaceships, but bending metal together and is so important. And what I've found in my travels is that we need more of that. We have offshored a lot of those key industries over the last several decades, and I think starting to see the impact of that. And that is, we want to bring that back through the Artemis program, through the NASA missions, because it's, again, as I said, it's very, very important for us to make sure that the people are connected to what they're investing through their taxes and through their efforts, that they see the results of that. And so that just simply everything you said in terms of making sure we have educators that are involved and community leaders that are involved, and making sure we're allowing interns to come on site so we can create that innovation hub. That a lot of the manufacturing is offshore. We're trying to use the investments in the Artemis program and in NASA to bring a lot of that back. And it's just incredible what I've seen in terms of how many factories and small businesses have Artemis work, but then also have other work in other government programs, including defense and in energy. And in doing so, we're reinvesting in America writ large. And that these challenges need to be addressed. We are in a race, we are in a global competition, and I'm convinced we're going to win. And the reason we're going to win is because we live in free and open societies, and we can innovate in those free and open societies. And that our investments in these programs, I think, shows that every day.
What are some of the biggest takeaways that you have from Ohio Space Week? Now that you're here, you see what we're doing and you see their plans for what they want to bring to the state in the next, even 5 to 10 years.
I was incredibly impressed with the Jobs Ohio folks and the folks that had set up the conference, the Ohio Aerospace Institute, everyone they had brought to the table. We had incredible leaders from across the country come. So the energy was really high. There's a big buzz. The industry is really starting to pick up and get behind the leadership of the agency to make sure that we're leading the way, as we always do. All of that investment and not only that, but also the community investment. There was local leaders there, state representatives that were there. We had U.S. senators that were participating and just showing their support for that entire community of entrepreneurs and innovators that want to get into our business. And it's our job at NASA to make sure that we're enabling American businesses to take as much advantage as they can, and make sure not only that they can help lead the world with their connections all over. So it is just incredible to see how much, all the way up and down, from the interns all the way up to all our U.S. senators that are supporting these programs and how engaged they are in Ohio's success and America's success.
My final question is, are there any efforts right now to bring more NASA-related projects to Ohio?
There are, we right now, NASA Glenn has already, like I said, major operational responsibility for a lot of our huge programs, especially in Artemis. Right now, in fact, they're building and about to finish a propulsion element that will allow us to fly in cislunar space and even beyond that using incredible new technologies in electric propulsion. One of the big buzz this week is we were talking about nuclear power, and we were talking about nuclear power on the moon. And under Secretary Duffy's leadership, we've initiated a work to make sure we have a fission surface reactor on the surface of the moon. We know that when we go into deep space, we can't rely on solar power because the energy of the sun dissipates as we go out. And so we know for sure that we have to do that. And using the philosophy that we have in terms of exploration, which is learn and test and learn things on the moon so we can use those technologies to go further. When we go to Mars, we're going to need it. When we go to the moons of Jupiter and beyond the solar system. And Ohio, the capability of the industry here, the leadership, the expertise at NASA Glenn. So I have to, under Secretary Duffy's direction, he asked me to pick a responsible center and a responsible set of leaders to work on that fission program to make sure we have fission power on the moon. And it took me about 4 seconds to figure out that I wanted Jimmy Kenyon and his team to do that here at NASA Glenn.
I love that, and I love the pride for Ohio. So thank you so much, Amit Kshatriya. Thank you, NASA's Associate Administrator, for meeting with us and talking with us. And we look forward to see the work in D.C. coming right here to our state.
Thank you, Meredith. I enjoyed being here. Thank you very much.